Ever feel like you're kind of shouting into the void? Like the internet's this vast ocean of content, and it's tough to stand out.
You're definitely not alone. It's like
Yeah.
we're all dealing with this long tail paradox.
Long tail. Okay, yeah. Let's break that down a bit. I feel like that's one of those buzzwords people throw around.
Totally. Picture a graph. The head, that's like the blockbusters, right? Those mega hits, the things that everyone knows. And then the tail, that's everything else, the niche stuff. The internet basically makes that tail like super long, tons of variety.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But also maybe a little intimidating.
Right. Huge opportunity for sure. But there are just like so many more voices competing now. So it's easy to feel, I don't know, lost in the mix, even if you've got something truly unique to offer.
Which leads us perfectly to our deep dive today. We're tackling Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans. This theory, it really gives you a different perspective on how to build a creative career you can sustain that feels good, especially in this crazy long tail world we were just talking about.
And what's really interesting is Kelly wrote this back in 2008, but it feels even more relevant today. His big idea is this. You don't necessarily need to go viral, chase those millions of followers. It's more about finding your people, the ones who really connect with what you do on a deeper level.
Those people who get it.
Yes. Kelly calls them true fans. And he's very specific about what that actually means. It's not just about likes or a quick comment.
Okay, so enough of the vague stuff. What does a true fan look like in real life?
Okay, imagine this. This is someone who would, I don't know, buy anything you create, even if it's just you reciting the dictionary in your pajamas. They would drive across the country to see you perform. They pre-order your next project before they even know what it is.
Wow. Talk about dedicated, like those fans that camp out for concert tickets or something.
Exactly. That's the kind of energy we're talking about. They're not just casually consuming your work. They believe in what you're doing.
And here's where things get really interesting. Really interesting. Kelly says, if you can find 1,000 of these true fans, you're basically golden, like you've made it.
Yeah, and it makes sense when you really look at the math, which Kelly, by the way, he breaks down really simply. He's like, okay, let's say each of those 1,000 fans, they spend just $100 a year on your work. That's $100,000 annually.
Wait, hold on. $100 a year.
He does. It's brilliant, right? He calls it like one day's wage. Like, think of it that way. Can you create something that someone would gladly pay, one day's worth of their work for?
Oh, wow. That's a really cool way to frame it. It's like definitely ambitious, but also, I don't know, it feels possible.
It totally changes how you think about this whole creator fan thing, It's not about being a huge mass market hit. It's about creating something truly valuable for a smaller, super dedicated group. And the best part is, Kelly actually gives examples of people doing this.
Okay, give me an example. I got to hear this.
All right, so one that he talks about is Lawrence Watt Evans. He's a fantasy writer. Back in the day, like really early days of crowdfunding, he literally just went to his fans and was like, can you pay me $100 a month?
Okay, I'm listening. What do you do?
So basically, every time he hit that $100 goal, he'd release the next chapter of his book. He ended up publishing the whole thing online, chapter by chapter, just for those core supporters.
Wow. No publisher, no nothing. Just straight to the readers. That's amazing. I love that they were basically like funding the story as it came out.
It's a whole new world now, right? And this is where technology is huge. Even back then in 2008, Kelly saw this coming. But now it's like you've got websites, social media, newsletters, Kickstarter, Patreon.
Speaking of Kickstarter, isn't that kind of a perfect example of this whole 1,000 true fans thing in action?
100%. Those platforms let creators completely bypass the traditional gatekeepers, publishers, record labels, whoever, and go straight to their audience to get support.
And keep way more of the money themselves. It feels, I don't know, almost rebellious in a good way.
Totally. And Kelly even mentions that, a lot of those big Kickstarter campaigns, they don't even have millions of backers. It's often like way closer to that 1,000 number.
Which means if you've already got those true fans locked in, you're already halfway there.
Right. And it's not just about the money up front either. That direct connection, it's like having a built-in focus group. You're getting instant feedback. You can see what works, what they want more of.
It sounds so much more like collaborative. But, okay, let's be real. The hard part has got to be actually finding those true fans in the first place. It's not like they just show up at your doorstep.
You're telling me. It's definitely not a passive thing. It takes work, consistency. You got to really want to connect with people. But here's the thing.
So how do we do it? How do we take people from, like, casual listeners, casual readers, to those die-hard, true fans. What's the secret sauce?
Well, I wish there was a magic button, right? But it's really like, I don't know, it's like building any kind of relationship that matters. You got to put in the time. It takes being genuine, being consistent.
Right. It's not about like tricking people into being your fan. It's about you being you,
Yeah.
sharing what lights you up and letting the right people find you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing that Kelly talks about is like really directly engaging with people. Don't just throw your work out there and hope for the best.
Yeah.
You know, reply to comments, have actual conversations, even if it's just a few people at first. Show them that you actually see them, that they're not just like a number to you.
No more trying to game the algorithm.
Yeah, forget the algorithm.
I love that.
Yeah, you know, focus on those real connections. And this is where those smaller platforms can be amazing. Kelly was really into blogs and email lists back in the day, but think about like Discord servers now or Patreon, those communities that
Yeah.
build up around people's work.
Finding your people.
Yes.
Your people.
But, okay, say you find them. How do you keep them around? How do you keep those true fans engaged, coming back for more?
I think it goes back to that whole one day's wage thing.
Yeah.
You know, are you making stuff that's good enough, interesting enough, whatever it is, that someone's going to say, yep, I'll gladly spend what I earned today on that?
And that value, that could be so many things, right? It's not always a physical product. Maybe it's the feeling people get from your work, the community, the knowledge you share. 100%. So think about what makes you unique as a creator, right? What problem are you solving? What need are you filling? And then how can you deliver on that consistently?
It's almost like you're flipping the script on what we think of as success. It's not about that one big break. It's about, I don't know, building something solid, one fan at a time, brick by brick.
Yes. And the cool thing is, Kelly says, that this way you're not just like financially more stable, you actually have more creative freedom too.
Because you're not at the mercy of some publisher, some algorithm, some trend. You can actually create the work that matters to you, the work your true fans really connect with.
Right. You're free to experiment, try new things, even if it's a little weird or different, you know, because you've got those people who believe in you, who've got your back.
So it really becomes less about the money, more about just doing your thing on your own terms for the people who appreciate it.
Exactly. And I think this idea, it really resonates because it speaks to something we all want, right? We want to connect with people. We want to make things. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
And Kelly even says this himself, like finding your 1,000 true fans. It's not like a rigid formula. It's more of a guiding principle. It's like a compass to help you navigate this whole crazy world of online creation.
He's not just talking about numbers here. He's talking about building real relationships with the people who get you, you know? It's about creating a community around the things you're passionate about.
It's a really hopeful way to think about it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we'll leave you with this. What would it look like for you to build that kind of creative life, the one with your people, your 1,000 true fans? What feels possible right now? Hopefully this gets the gears turning.